Hey everybody, I'm Andy.
I'm Matt.
We're here with Infinity Flux Comics out of Chattanooga, Tennessee, and this is a very special
Yep.
show where we have a special guest, Benjamin Percy.
Yeah.
Hey everybody.
An amazing writer. This is really awesome because you just finished up a huge run on Wolverine, Ghost Rider. I'm sure people who watch this know about the awesomeness of Wolverine.
Yeah.
So we are just honored to have you with us today. Plus, you're in town for a film festival because you have your directorial debut,
Indeed.
which is super cool. But we want to just pick your brain a little bit about some of the awesome stuff that you've done and are going to be doing.
And every time I go to a new city, I try to drop into a shop, and this one's beautiful.
Well,
Yeah, thank you very much.
Those of you online.
Yeah.
Try to stop by if you're doing any comics tourism.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we appreciate it. We're like a super comics positive channel. We talk about what we love about comics and stuff like that. So first off, what was your relationship with comics getting into it, just to kind of set us up? Were you a big comic reader? And
Yeah, in a way, comics were my formative reading experience. I can't remember the first novel I read. Maybe it was, The Mouse and the Motorcycle, or The House with a Clock in its Walls, or The Hobbit. I don't really know, but I do remember the first comic that I read. It was an issue of Man-Thing.
Oh,
nice.
And it was purchased from a mercantile. I lived in such a small town. At the time, Crow, Oregon. There wasn't a grocery store, there was a mercantile. And the deal my mom and I had was if I sat at the base of this spinner rack
Yeah.
and behaved myself and just read comics while she shopped, then I could take home one of them.
Nice.
So I never wanted like chocolate or bubblegum. I
Yeah.
just wanted my cape and spandex. So I built this collection, and that collection continued to grow throughout the years. But it was not just that mercantile, because it was not just that town. I moved around a lot. And so I was getting my comics mostly from like a grocery store spinner rack, a gas station spinner rack, or a garage sale. If there's a garage sale, I always walked over and checked out the comics, or flea markets, or antique shops, or wherever else. So I don't have any sense of like Marvel or DC continuity. As a result.
It's just whatever was available at the time.
I
Yeah.
could read at the time, and comics were sort of a constant companion for me, despite moving around all the time. Like they were always there.
Yeah.
And I love the, aspirational qualities, the heroism of it, of course, but also just the way in which all these characters tied together. Like
Yeah.
I didn't have a shop that I could go to and talk to people about it. Also, I was sort of puzzling it all together myself.
Yeah.
So yeah, comics have just been a constant in my life.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah, same. It makes me like I was a kid. My dad used to own a convenience store, and he had a spinner rack full of comics. And I used to love to go to visit my dad, but like see all the comics that were there and just pour through them. And like you said, whatever was there, just take it and read it. Yeah, it was awesome.
And I realized later, like this issue of Man-Thing. This is my first comic. I'm certain of it.
Yeah.
But I only realized later that the comics in that mercantile were old. Like they didn't
Oh, right,
with
yeah.
regularity. So I was looking at the date on it. I was like, how is that possible?
Yeah.
I would only be 2 years old. My mom would never buy me this, and I wouldn't recollect
Right.
purchasing it. But I think I actually bought it when I was 4 or 5.
Okay.
It just had been in the shop that long.
Yeah, they just didn't return
Yeah.
the books like a lot of newsstands did. Yeah.
So that's interesting because you bring up Man-Thing, and it seems like a lot of your career is pseudo horror adjacent, even stuff like Wolverine, your Star Wars story for Darth Maul, definitely horror. So is that kind of the genre that you kind of lean into a little bit more, or you feel more comfortable in?
I love to write across mediums. I love to write across genres, but I'll always be a horror head.
Yeah,
First
that's
and
awesome.
Foremost.
Yeah.
It's the genre that just, I don't know, awakens my dark DNA.
Well, and most recently in the end of the Venomverse Reborn that just came out, you have that Avengers, or not really Avengers story, but with the Avengers that looks very horror inspired.
It's one of the most graphic Marvel
Yeah.
stories I think I've ever read.
Hey, let me get away with a lot.
That Iron
kind
Man
of like-
scene, we were talking about on the show, and it's like, I can only tease. I'm not going to describe what happens, but it's pretty rough.
Basically, Iron Man, the way I described it in the script, is like a sort of chunky soup
Right.
is all that's left of him
Yeah.
inside the Iron Man armor.
Yeah.
So when it opens up, there's some spillage.
Yeah, we
Exactly.
saw that. We were like, should that have been maybe a red band like they've been doing recently? But that was awesome. It was
I'm
really.
responsible for a red band coming back.
Oh yeah.
Push the envelopes.
Yeah.
Like, we're tired of
Ghost
like
Rider.
negotiating with
Yeah.
you. We'll just give you your own
Or
version.
Sabretooth War, right? We pitched that as
Yeah.
the most violent Wolverine.
Oh,
event
that's
of all
right.
time,
Yeah,
and I
that
think
was.
we followed through on that promise.
Yeah. There's some.
If you got to the last page of the first issue with the happy birthday.
Oh, yeah.
Or just Wolverine on his stubs going down a hallway. Just classic Wolverine stuff. But talk a little bit about your transition from doing Wolverine and Ghost Rider into Hellverine.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Was that something you pitched?
It was, yeah.
Okay.
So I'm writing Wolverine, I'm writing Ghost Rider. I'm not going to bring them together.
Right.
Exactly.
So, came up with this idea for a crossover event, and I wanted it to have kind of a David Fincher vibe to it. I wanted it to be, shadow-soaked, gritty, bloody, and so I, basically pitched it as like a Supernatural 7
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
to Marvel, and in doing the research for it, we realized that despite the fact that Ghost Rider and Wolverine have continuously been in series together over the years, their first meeting was never shown
That's a good
in
point.
comics.
Yeah.
So it was really fun to be able to fill in that vacancy
Yeah.
in the canon, and to have a story that took place in the past and a story that took place in the present.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going back and forth
Yeah.
between them. And in doing so, the plan was, and this is the easiest pitch I've ever made, it was rubber stamped immediately.
Really?
It was like Wolverine with flaming claws and a flaming skull.
Yeah.
Inhabited by spirit of vengeance. They were like, yes.
Yeah.
How quickly can you have it done? Because we want it now. Yeah.
Yeah, seeing like the Ryan Stegman cover come out,
Oh,
everything was like, oh my gosh, how has this not been a thing before? This feels just
It
like
felt like it
natural.
should have already.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, and especially being, growing up in the 90s, reading comics all the time, like I loved it anytime Wolverine and or Ghost Rider would pop up somewhere because it was just, and so seeing when I saw there's going to be a story where they team up and then eventually, they kind of sort of coalesced with each other. I was like, that ignites the 90s kid in me. Like if you had told, 15-year-old me about that, I would have just lost it. Like, oh gosh, they're going to be together, like one character.
And that's a lot of the joy that I have at the keyboard.
Yeah.
Is just sort of sitting in my dungeon of an office and channeling that 90s,
Yeah.
80s kid and being like, ha ha ha.
Yeah.
Now I have the power.
Yeah.
I have the power to bring this nerdy dream to life.
Yeah.
So it's kind of I know it sounds corny, but kind of a childhood dream come true.
Sure.
Playing in these sandboxes.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, and another thing that they just announced the Marvel Legends figure of Wolverine. What was that like to create a thing, see it come out in comics, and then to be so popular? Like you're gonna have like a physical little figure of this. That's so cool.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm gonna have that, looming over my desk
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
next few decades.
It's also looking like, can I ever do anything that cool? Like,
Yeah.
Is
there
it?
anything?
Have I peaked on cool?
Exactly. Flaming metal skull head.
What else
That's
can we
just-
do? Like, I've already done Symbiote Wolverine.
Yeah.
In the X Lives, 10 Lives, 10 Deaths.
Yeah.
Event. So what? Like, is it Man Thing and Wolverine coming?
Yeah.
Green Claws.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask,
Little
like,
thing.
are there any other characters you'd love to see, sort of squished together like that?
Well, I can't say too much, but let's just say that I have something coming in the future that might involve Logan, that might involve a moment of convergence that
Okay.
I haven't seen before.
Okay. I'll just give you my money now for that. I'm excited for that.
So we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the awesome thing that is started with Predator Wolverine.
Yeah.
And then we're getting not Predator Wolverine. Yeah,
Predator versus Wolverine.
and then Predator versus Wolverine, and then Black
Right.
Panther Predator.
Yep.
How did that come about? That's super cool. Now that I guess Marvel has the license for Alien and Predator.
Right. So the moment that I heard about that,
Mhm.
the Disney takeover of 20th Century Fox, when I saw the headline, instantly emailed CB,
Mm-hmm.
the editor-in-chief of Marvel. I was
Yeah.
like, let me do Predator versus Wolverine.
Nice.
And he was like, no. And then I just set a timer
Yeah.
on my phone. So every 3 months,
Okay.
let me write Predator versus Wolverine. Let me write Predator. And he just kept saying no,
Yeah.
because for good reason, they didn't want to immediately cross the streams.
Right.
Mm.
They wanted to do a Predator book. They
Sure.
wanted to do an Alien book. They wanted them to exist before they converge with this.
Yeah.
You're like, they literally both have claws and they're
Right.
hunters.
There you
Like,
go.
this feels so
So
natural.
I pitched and I pitched and I pitched and I pitched, and it took, well, 2 years.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, fine.
Yeah.
And thankfully, because it was sort of a speedy process, the way in which I pitched it was, we do these issues with multiple timelines in them, so we can use multiple artists. Because if you have a single artist doing all of these, the single story, it takes a long time.
Yeah.
But if I can bring in like 5 different artists
Mhm.
and have them all be working simultaneously, then we can pump this out pretty quickly.
Yeah, and I love that, and I love the multiple time periods, and the fact that Wolverine at one point, he has his memories erased, so he doesn't remember
Exactly.
fighting the Predator before. I thought that was like an extra, like the cherry on top. Like, oh, that's an extra little layer of complexity to this.
And I was able to sort of dance between the raindrops of Marvel history.
Yeah.
Is it officially canon? I don't know, but I treated it like it was.
Sure.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. I mean, it could be. I mean, there's nothing that breaks canon at all, so it absolutely could be for sure. How did and then
Having Cornelius, pick up the Predator helmet, and then you transition to like the Weapon X helmet.
Yeah. Oh man.
Gain the insight into the technology.
Yeah. Yeah. And then how did
Back to the Future moment?
Oh yeah. And then how did Black Panther, like, what was that? Did you have that in the back of your mind too, or did you think after that you wanted to do another one and Black Panther would be a good fit, or how did that come about?
I was thinking about all the characters I would love to, cross over with Predator,
Mhm.
and there's more planned. But
Okay.
this seemed like an obvious one to me because, one, the Yautja. Those of you nerds who don't know, the Yautja is the species of
Right.
the Yautja are obsessed with weapons.
Yep.
Right? They're obsessed with tech, and there's nothing more coveted in the universe than vibranium.
All right.
So once they get wind of the fact that there's this, mother lode in Wakanda, that seems an obvious place for them to go.
Yeah.
Now, once they're in Wakanda, the recognition that this perimeter shield, which bears some resemblance to Predator cloaking technology, could be manipulated. I mean, they're highly advanced. Could be manipulated and shut down and create a hunting preserve, essentially.
Mm.
That is
Kind of playing off like the Predators and
Yeah.
all of that, the reserve. That's super cool.
And just thematically, there are certain things that I'm playing with that people will feel fresh but familiar about. Like, everybody loves to see the Yautja in a jungle setting.
Mhm.
Mhm.
There's lots of cool big game that can be part of this.
Mhm.
There's, the brilliance of like Shuri
Yeah.
and the way she can manipulate tech if she gets hold of some of
Yeah.
the
If she
Predator
gets a hold of there,
technology.
oh my gosh. Yeah.
And then, like I'm thinking about, okay, what's the most recognizable Black Panther story? You go to what most people, like just the general public, will recognize because you want to make these evergreen.
Mhm.
And it's like, it's the, Killmonger battle for the throne.
Right.
So what if I replicate that in the Yautja community and have like a king predator and a battle for the throne going on? And vibranium might be the thing that determines who wins on a cosmic level.
Yeah.
And so, there's all these things are informing
Yeah.
the reason I wanted to write Black Panther. And also, T'Challa's a total badass.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. Like he could absolutely hold his own. Like,
And if you think about, like how he's going to approach a fight versus Wolverine, because you don't want to just do a rinse and repeat.
Mhm.
Wolverine's instinctual, feral. He hacks and slashes. Like T'Challa is reserved. He's a total badass fighter, but he's reserved. He's strategic.
Mhm.
He's honorable.
right.
There's a lot of things that he's approaching this fight in a different way than Wolverine.
Yeah.
But also very similar to the Predator because they also have kind of a code of
They have a
honor
code of
Yeah.
honor.
and
Yep,
everything
exactly.
that.
So that plays into the story.
Okay, very very cool.
Golly. Like I just want it now. I want that. It's coming out. The second one is on. The second one's been solicited, I think, but the first one comes out. I don't remember the release date on that. It's fairly soon, right?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Yeah. Other people are in charge of that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the best part about it. You just do it and you go, okay.
Somebody tags me online. Oh, I guess that came out today.
Yeah.
So the other thing we want to talk about, you're here for the film festival.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's super awesome. You've got your first directorial debut film. what was that like? The transition between comics. I mean, you're a writer at your core, so if, you write novels, you write
Yeah.
now film. Was that much of a change writing a movie script as opposed to a comic script?
So I've been writing for film and TV since 2014. Actually, earlier than that, but 2014 is when I got my union card as a member of the
Nice.
Screenwriters Guild.
Okay.
So the thing about Hollywood is you write a lot of stuff and get paid for a lot of stuff that actually never gets made.
Okay. Yeah.
So somebody options a novel and they ask you to adapt it, or you pitch a TV show and someplace like Stars buys it. I've had that situation throughout the years, and one of the things that frustrated me was that so much time was spent trying to find a director,
Mm.
and you spend 3 months, 5 months, 7 months looking for a director. They get attached. They have notes. You implement the notes. 3 more months go by, and then they bail for another project.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just I want to take the reins myself. And I feel like my experience with comics,
Mm-hmm.
not just my experience with Hollywood, but my experience with comics has sort of really prepped me for becoming a director
Mhm.
because comics are storyboards.
Yeah.
in a
Exactly.
way, and you're making decisions with the artist on production design, on costumes,
Yeah.
on
Camera angles
yeah.
and
And so
seeding things earlier.
really easy transition in a way. The thing that's not easy is that I spend most of my time alone.
Mhm.
And so being, around people constantly, being in charge of a team. I mean, comics prepares you a little bit for the team element
Mhm.
because, you're writing, but you're also approving designs and you're also working with marketing. You're working with, inker, maybe a penciler,
Yeah.
the colorist, the letter, like, there's an element of teamwork there, but
Mhm.
to be like, have to set up an LLC, get an accountant, hire the caterer because I was the producer as well.
Yeah.
Doing all of these things is not. It's something that was really challenging for me. Got me out of my comfort zone, but in a way, that's the point.
Yeah.
Because you get to a certain moment in your life. I'm in my 40s now, and I'm like, I need to not just do the same thing. I need to
Mhm.
constantly be. That's why I jump from medium to medium and genre to genre too. Is like I want to constantly be challenging
Right.
Yeah.
myself.
Keeps things fresh.
I don't want to be a full time director. I
Right.
have
Right.
no desire to do that. I would like to direct a few films.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you like to go? Because this one is a short film.
Yeah.
Do you want to do a feature length?
I'd love to do a feature length version of it.
Mhm.
If any nerds out there want to check out the trailer, just look up 13th Night, 13th with a 1-3, and 13th Night trailer, and you can check it out. But the idea is that maybe I do a feature length version of that one. I have a lot of projects I've written. Like one is really low budget, one's low budget, and one's in the $3 million, $5 million range,
Yeah.
which is still low budget, I know, but like realistically, can I take these projects on? Like one is only $50,000,
Mhm.
and so the idea is that we leverage this film festival circuit into being able to make one or more of these
That's awesome.
in
Yeah.
our in Minnesota because I'm committed to like I don't like coastal prejudice, and I get it a lot.
Yeah.
Like I've had people tell me, like you'll never make it as a writer if you don't live in New York. Or
Oh, right,
Yeah.
right,
And
yeah.
I'm like, come on, like so we put together a team in Minnesota,
Yeah.
and we made this short film, and like
Yeah. There's plenty of talented
We're-
people wherever you are. You just
Just gotta find him. Yeah.
so we're the whole team. A lot of us are here in Chattanooga right now for the
Mhm.
film festival. We're hoping to make that next step. So we'll see
Yeah.
what happens.
Yeah. It's cool. It's like a band on tour.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lots of opportunities for networking. Hey, collaboration,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Yeah, it's a great thing that they do here for that. Do you have? So you said you've got like other scripts and stuff that you want to make. Is there anything that stands out?
Well,
Like, is there one that you're chomping at the bit? Like, oh man, I really
there's
just.
one. The $50,000 one is one that. I mean, 50 to $100,000 would be better.
Yeah. Right.
The money, I'm struggling with the idea of fundraising right now.
Mhm.
Do I do a GoFundMe?
Oh,
Do
yeah.
I try to find a rich dentist?
Right.
Do I apply for grants? Do I cobble together from multiple sources? But
Yeah.
like, I know we can make that movie.
Yeah.
It's a limited set. It's a fishbowl scenario. But gotta have the funding.
Yeah. Gotta have
And
the.
the time.
Yeah, for sure.
Because we need at least 14 days to shoot. Everybody's working on other things.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But I'm chomping at the bit to do that. But I'm also writing all of these other screenplays
Yeah.
with the idea that maybe one of them I could shop in Hollywood, and if they get really excited about it, I can be like, you don't get it unless I direct it.
Right. Right. How do you have the time for all that though? Like writing, all these awesome comics and then also movie scripts and then going to direct the movie. Like, how do you sleep?
Uh, Last night I didn't really.
Yeah.
Here in Chattanooga because I was so wired.
Right.
But I just treat it like any job. Like,
Yeah.
I sit down at the keyboard at 7:30 and I write until 4:30 or 5.
Okay.
I get up to walk the dog and shove a sandwich in my mouth, but otherwise I just write for usually between 8.5 and 10 hours, sometimes 12 hours a day if I'm on an under deadline.
Yeah.
But
Very
you
nice.
get a lot done if you're
Yeah.
playing with your imaginary friends all day.
Do you spend that 7:30 to 4:30 span? Like, will you jump between a movie script and a comic, or will you like dedicate one day to one thing and the next day to something else?
I would rather just be immersed in one thing because
Yeah.
you get in a zone
Yeah, for sure.
and things speed up and you're not really aware of time passing.
Yeah.
And if you're going like over here and then over here, and it dilutes your ability to focus
Yeah.
and produce
For sure.
more material. But sometimes you just have to.
Yeah.
Because Marvel's like, we need this now. They get like 10 emails in a row.
Yeah.
Like, you haven't gotten back to us about that lettering script.
And I think we are getting the signal here that it is time for you to.
The pull Mr. Percy away.
Go real quick. Is there anything you want to plug?
Yeah.
Sure, thanks.
Anything? Tell people where they can follow you.
Yeah.
Or what kind of stuff to be looking out for.
You can follow me on all the annoying social media platforms.
They're all annoying.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
I'm not very good at social media, but you might see a picture of my dog or a comic book on there occasionally.
Those are my two favorite things. So yeah, definitely follow for sure.
Otherwise, yeah, just keep following me in the stacks and buying from your local shop.
Yeah,
But mention
absolutely.
your trailer for your movie again, so everybody knows where to find that.
13th Night, again with a 1-3.
Okay.
Look that up. Look up 13th Night trailer, Percy, and you'll be able to find our website or the Vimeo link.
Very cool.
cool. Well, thank you so much for
Yeah.
spending some time with us. I know everybody who watches this will be super thrilled to hear about everything, and I know you've got a lot of really cool stuff coming up. So we will definitely keep you on our radar.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks a
Yeah.
lot. And we will see you guys later this evening for our Comics from the Future video. And until then, thanks
See
a
ya.
lot. See you guys.